What does the Champions League mean to you? Well, for me, it means one day where I can believe anything is possible. And this is even more so the case with this new playoff edition of the Europe's most acclamated competition. We all know by now that the UCL this year, due to the pandemic, has been transformed into a one-on-one knockout tournament, just like the World Cup, where you only have 90 minutes to prove your worth. In my humble opinion, this new format will make the competition more enticing and potentially more entertaining for the average viewer. However, it doesn't matter if you're a casual or a hardcore fan, you all deserve to know exactly what is going to go down in Lisbon. But before we go all in, we first have to resume with 4 games and find out their outcomes. I'm talking of course about Manchester City versus Real Madrid, Juventus versus Lyon, Barcelona versus Napoli, and Bayern Munich versus Chelsea. Join us today as we preview the return of the Champions League's round of 16. What's going on guys, ¿Cómo están? Google is here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And the round of 16 of the Champions League of course is restarting this Friday with matches such as Manchester City versus Real Madrid and Juventus versus Lyon, with Saturday hosting the remaining games in Barcelona versus Napoli and Bayern Munich versus Chelsea. The highlights for me have to be indeed the matchups between Pep and Zidane, whilst Barcelona and Napoli certainly has a special meaning for everyone here on this channel. So if you allow me, let's quickly preview Juventus versus Lyon and then move onwards into Bayern and Chelsea before we get into the big two. And please feel free to use the timestamps that I have attached in the description to jump out to any point in particular in this video. And if you're not interested in one game, well, no big deal, just go and watch whichever you want. On paper, it would be extremely easy to see this game as a one-way tie heavily inclined toward the Italian giants. But let's not forget that technically Lyon are still winning thanks to their 1-0 win at home all the way back since the 26th of February. However, it is also this same result which marks the last game Lyon have won in an official competition since the restart. In Rudi Garcia, Lyon have found a visionary manager capable of putting together a hard-working, intense side as demonstrated in their loss in the Coupe de France against PSG last week. Their dynamic formation allows the French team to attack in an expansive fashion while still remain compact in defense. This strategy cost PSG many problems as they were most incapable of matching the numbers that Lyon pushed forward. It is almost 100% certain that Rudi Garcia won't put his men to defend on Friday, and this might be exactly the right approach that might hurt Juventus the most. As champions of Italy for the 9th time in a row, we might think that Juventus are strong as ever, but you'd be mistaken. This season under Sarri, Juventus have managed their least point tally ever, conceded the most goals with 43, recorded their worst goal difference with plus 33, had the highest numbers of defeat and the smallest final point gaps between top and second with just 1. Not great, but what's even worse is that Juventus have set an unwanted record during this season. La Vecchia Signora have dropped the most points from winning positions more than any other Italian champion in history. A total of 21 points has been enough for Ronaldo and co to beat the previous record of 20 set by Roma back in 1982-1983. Needless to say, it's always hard to bet against Cristiano Ronaldo. Like it or not, he is Mr. Champions, and no one has performed in this competition better than him. At home, and only 1 goal in behind, should be easy peasy for Cristiano Ronaldo. So if you were to force me to put money on it, I would indeed favor the Italians to go through. But please, believe me when I say that this is not a game that you should discard from your watch list by any means. I give Juventus a 55% chance of going through, and that is actually being sort of kind to them. I must say that my prediction then would be a 2-0 win also, with perhaps a goal from Cristiano Ronaldo from a penalty and a last-minute scrambler, since Lyon are putting so many men forward that allows for an easy Juve counter-attack. By far the biggest disparity in terms of goal difference at the moment, the mighty Bavarians face off against a very wicked Chelsea. Encased in a very attractive, promising young squad, the London-based team lacks a lot of fundamentals in their game that currently makes them one of the weakest teams in the competition in my opinion. To put it slightly, their loss against Arsenal was very worrying. After a very good initial minutes after a Pulisic goal, Chelsea fell completely flat. 25 minutes was all that it lasted. After that, Arsenal led from every aspect of the game. Suma and Rudiger were atrocious in defense, and with the injuries to Azpilicueta and Christian Pulisic, Chelsea are losing two key men, especially in the American star. Pulisic has been one of the few new players that have left me absolutely speechless in recent seasons. Impressive going forward, he's probably the only player on that team to have any sort of ability to spark a comeback if there is to be any. Adding to that, the final clearly showed how fatigue multiple games had already started to wear off on the Chelsea squad, leaving me with 0 to none arguments to believe a miracle can actually be achieved. And that is with us not even mentioning who do they have in front, and for crying out loud, they're playing the game at the Allianz Arena. Home ground advantage might not be as important as in other years, but for Bayern Munich, it shouldn't prove to be any different. Europe's best drill team alongside Liverpool in my opinion, under Hansi Flick the German Giants have found themselves in a system of guarantees. From Müller time with the centre forward combining perfectly with Lewandowski, achieving 21 assists this season just behind Messi, or to Alaba being the perfect libero centre back, all the way to the jail out of free card in Alphonso Davies. The 4-2-3-1 of Hansi Flick gives Bayern Munich a much more rejuvenated look. Aggressive and suffocating at times, the football that Bayern Munich play is nothing out of extraordinary, but it's just rather at the speed and intensity at which they do that helps them dominate every encounter that they face. I would love to dwell on Bayern Munich a little bit more if I have the time. Who knows, maybe in the quarterfinals I may get that chance. But so far I have to give Bayern Munich a 90% possibilities of progressing to the next stage, and that means that Chelsea get a measly 10%. I have to add to that my prediction should be a 3-0 win, sort of kind of like a pre-season training for Bayern Munich as they return to their former best. Moving on now to the very first big game of the round of 16, we have Barcelona versus Napoli. Ever since the restart, it has been difficult to look past Barcelona's several issues, be it the dressing room disputes or at board level with transfers and contract renewals. These past few weeks have created some sense of uncertainty about what could be of this team in the future. Furthermore, Barcelona have had a more clear problem on the field too. This side looks flat, unable to break down any sort of defensive unit that plants themselves in front of them. The pace at which the ball circulates is far from optimal, and the mentality was so weak at the Camp Nou that no matter how much Barca tried, not even a single concrete chance could have been crafted. To be completely honest, the break is probably the best thing that have ever happened to Barcelona, because now they have finally the chance to rest and clear their minds and just focus on a sole objective, which is lifting the Champions League by the end of this season. Some players have been injured like Umtiti and Ronald Araujo, leaving Barcelona's defense all but dry, whilst others like Griezmann and, can you believe it, Ousmane Dembélé seem to be finally ready to make an appearance at the much anticipated game. Yet, with all jokes aside, with no potential second leg comeback in sight, this new format should come in handy for Barcelona. The truth of the matter is that one of the biggest downfalls of this team is that whilst they are capable of mouth-watering performances, they always tend to crumble when it's their time to suffer. In Spanish, there's a very big phrase in football used a lot of the time, which is hay que saber sufrir, which literally translates to English as one must know when to suffer. And it's this simple yet complex verse that has the key to Barcelona winning this Champions League. Grittiness to their game is just what can make Barcelona capable of overcoming the last hurdle. One last hurdle which for many teams seems simple, but for Barcelona inconceivable. That is retaining a lead. To remedy this, Quique Setién and the team must employ some cost-effective tactics that should help Barcelona's productivity in the final third without affecting their vulnerability at the back. Some of you may say that Quique Setién not knowing their starting 11 might be one of the worst disadvantages ever, but if you tell me that if you want Barcelona to play the very same way as before, literally, I'm gonna start filling out the forms for an asylum right now and measuring your temperature. As reported on the media, Setién might be looking to assemble a 4-1-2-1-2 formation, very similar to the one Barcelona used against Villarreal. And this should be Barcelona's figurehead formation in my opinion. This exact plan has got the best out of Griezmann, Messi and Suarez, and made Barcelona's midfield continue to be effective in the recuperation of the ball, keeping the team wild while funneling the play from the middle without the cost of a defensive solidity. All quick fixes to Barcelona's problems. Most vital for me is the introduction of younger players into the side. With constant new mobility, with Riqui Puig and Ansu Fati, this team has looked fresh again. A slow methodical tempo to the game makes it extremely simple to mark Messi. If players are not repeatedly making themselves available as possible outlets to progress the play forward, the side ends up losing verticality and resume the horizontal passes that has cost Barcelona so many points in the past. It has been time and time again where Messi has to turn up to solve these issues, or we need a penalty, a free kick, something had to come our way. And while I believe Barcelona should help Messi maximize his output as much as possible for this short streamlined line of games, the introduction of Riqui Puig has been the biggest salvation we didn't know we had yet. The young midfielder should become an immediate starter for Barcelona because ever since Andres Iniesta, and that includes Artur, Coutinho and all of the new signings we made there, I haven't seen a player that has been as clinical when it comes to passing the ball through the middle, penetrating the two lines of the midfield and the defense, and actually creating space. Perhaps not as gifted as the number 10, Riqui Puig and his determination does live up to the standards. Motivating him to retain the ball and move immediately after he's done with it simply opens up space by becoming a headache for the opposition. It's exactly these characteristics that makes him propel above all of his peers and certainly above older midfielders like Rakitic at the moment. Having said all this, I would love it to be this easy, but in front we have a competent, competitive, good team in Napoli. Napoli under Gennaro Gattuso have transformed from mere ball watchers to absolute warriors. Since the restart, they have obtained impressive victories, most notably the win against Juventus in La Coppa Italia or the recent win by 3-0 against Lazio in the final fixture of Serie A. On top of that, Napoli have won 7 of their last 12 games in Serie A, with 2 of the other 5 being draws. I want you to get the true story though, because even one may think that Gattuso has improved his tactics since the last leg to this one, it actually really isn't that much of a case. Napoli, I believe, are playing worse than what they did back when we faced them all the way in February. The performances of Napoli so far has caused the ex-Milan manager some clear unrest. The Italian club has seen many games being pushed to the limit, with 6 of those games being against middle or lower the table opposition. Napoli have been winning their games simply because the quality in their team is better than the opposition, to the point where Gennaro Gattuso is saying the following about the upcoming game in the Champions League. If we continue like this, with this attitude and performance, the only thing I can assure you is we won't even tickle Barcelona in the Champions League. Therefore, I've been thinking, in what way will Gattuso send out his Napoli side to play against Barcelona? And the answer has to be the very same tactic that he employed against Juventus in the Coppa Italia, playing a very solid midfield block. Here, a player like Diego Depay will be essential for Napoli in terms of these possessions. The German pivot particularly impresses as he adds another layer between the backline and the midfield, covering any free players between the lines, making sure Barcelona will not exploit the spaces. This means that players like Riqui Puig, Lionel Messi and Frank de Jong might have a hard field day facing Napoli. Barcelona must be aware of this, and in that game against Villarreal, the reason why this formation was so effective was because the attacks were direct and there wasn't too much time on the ball. So honestly, if Barcelona want to let go a little bit of the possession in this game, I might be for it. I literally believe that it can save Barcelona in a particular game like this where Napoli are expecting you to have it. They are willing, they are playing for you to get the possession. If Barcelona try to make the game faster by just being quick passes and then letting it go, or trying to finish it and not holding with it for much longer, it could create a weirder time for Napoli because they don't have a plan B. Moving on finally now to the potential 11 and player selections, let's start off with the home side, Barcelona. So, like you probably imagine right now, I believe Barcelona are going to be playing a 4-1-2-1-2 with Marc-André ter Stegen in the goalkeeper position. For the right, Sergi Roberto, Gerard Piqué and Clement Lenglet as the 2 center backs. Through the left, we're going to be seeing Jordi Alba. The midfield, in my opinion, is going to be composed of Rakitic as a holding DM, then Frankie de Jong, and I just simply have to put in Riqui Puig. There are going to be many outlets like Marca or Mundo Deportivo saying that, I don't know, Sergio Roberto will be taking this position, but in my opinion, the role of Riqui Puig in this midfield and the impact that this little man can have is severely underestimated. Like I mentioned, we're talking about one of the only players alongside Messi that is capable of penetrating through the deep lines of a very defensive unit that might become Napoli in this game. So I want to have that asset in my team. I need to have Riqui Puig there. The work rates of Sergio Roberto might be great, it might be incredible and he might save us from the line with a clearance, or he might be coming back to track down Mertens or Insigne, But at the end of the day, I want to have Ricky Puig there because I want to win the game. I want to have my best players right now, and to be honest, to make this team work, we need that sort of thing. And of course, up top, I'm going to be going with the MSG of Messi, Suarez, and Griezmann. And while some of you are going to be saying, Buga, why is not Ansu Fati on the starting 11? Because he deserves to be there, he might be better than Antoine Griezmann. Well, the thing here is that we need to have some sort of impact on the bench. And Ansu Fati, in my opinion, is way better at doing that than Antoine Griezmann. He can come in and just disrupt the entire tempo of the game. And we have Ousmane Dembélé potentially coming back into the game as well. It's been rumored that he might be given the green light, but at the end of the day, do you really want to risk Dembélé here? I would much prefer have Ansu Fati there as an option and then Ousmane Dembélé just if we have to. On the other hand, we have Napoli there, and I believe we're going to be seeing David Ospina, el Colombiano, taking charge of that goalkeeper position. For the right, Di Lorenzo. For the left, Mario Rudi. The two center backs being Kalidou Koulibaly and Kostas Manolas. Next up, we're going to be seeing a three-man midfield with Fabian Ruiz, Diego Demme, and Piotr Zelinski. And on top, I'm going to be going old school. Lorenzo Insigne, Dries Mertens, and Jose Callejon. So overall, this game for Barcelona and Napoli should prove to be the perfect example to test where they are at. And especially, like I said, for Barcelona, because I believe they're going to be going through to the next stages. I give Barcelona and Quique Setién a potential chance of 60% of going through, with Napoli at 40%. I also have to say that my prediction will be a 3-1 victory for Los Blaugranas, with goals from Messi, Suarez, and Griezmann. Of course, I'm going to be going all the way there. And yeah, I have to say, in fact, I do believe in this team. I trust them a lot. I see the determination that they have been showing in the past few days, in the past few weeks, in fact. And I am confident. I'm confident that Barcelona can take this win and extend the 35 unbeaten streak of winning games in the Champions League at home. And also on top of that, I also believe that they should take this game as 0-0. You know, new. They're going into here, it's going to be a final. And as soon as you can get into that mood and take all the way to the final 8 in Lisbon, then Barcelona should have a real shot at winning the Champions League, because you never know what can happen. I've seen incredible things in the World Cup, you've seen them as well. And in 90-minute games, like I said, anything can happen. So Barcelona have to prove to be the hard-working team in every single game that they go to. Work your socks off for 90 minutes. You literally just have to do that. 90 minutes, just do that, please. Just do that, and we will go far in this competition. And well then, last but not least, we have Manchester City versus Real Madrid. Pep versus Zinedine Zidane. The great unknown for this game, in my opinion, has to be just how much have Real Madrid improved from the first leg. We'll have to touch on Zinedine Zidane in just a few minutes though, because I want to cover Manchester City first. I believe that it's harder to determine where they are at. After losing the Premier League to Liverpool, the message from Guardiola was clear. Man City must continue to strive as to not lose their rhythm for the round of 16. On paper, they've done exactly that, managing to win 9 games of their total last 12, competitions since the restart, scoring a whooping 36 goals in the process as well. But they are far from consistent, in my opinion. The games they have won have been against weak opposition, and 2 of the most important games they lost in humiliating fashion. We're talking about Pep Guardiola getting outsmarted by a young manager in Frank Lampard and his so-called apprentice in Mikel Arteta. And then we're also having to talk to say that there were defensive errors in each of the 4 goals that Man City conceded between those 2 games. The same problem that has kept biting at their heels is present once again for Manchester City, and if they are to progress to the next round, they better hope none of their center backs commit any stupid mistakes. At the other side of the field, I would have initially thought that playing without Aguero would have been a huge loss for Man City, but almost for them it has proved to be a non-existent issue. Sterling has become their main goal threat, and Gabriel Jesus has done enough so far to validate once again his role in the squad. But it's Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield where we find the real danger man for Man City. The Belgian is having an extraordinary season, and with the lack of projection from Kyle Walker, Kevin should have the reins over the production through the right channel. Moreover, if Manchester City are going to play with Bernardo Silva, this could potentially give them a numerical advantage in the midfield. Both Zidane and Guardiola will try to beat each other in this exact position of the field, desiring to have constantly an extra man in contrast to the other, so that their team are able to exploit the left-hand side of the attack with Sterling and Hazard respectively. While on a one-on-one basis, it might be argued that Manchester City have better personnel than Zinedine Zidane and Real Madrid, I have to say that the tactics that the team of Los Merengues have actually managed to put together in the recent weeks will prove to be the real headache for Pep Guardiola. Zinedine Zidane's strategy and game plan might remain almost the same as it was before, but in a rejuvenated Benzema, Madrid does not need to rely on an extra man in the final third. Karim has mostly demonstrated that he has been able to both generate and finalize, allowing for Zinedine Zidane to incorporate an extra man from the get-go for the midfield. Most of the time this has been Federico Valverde for the right-hand side. He tucks inside them to form a line of 4 and makes it so Real Madrid has a very solid unit that is very hard to penetrate and cut through. But do not get mistaken, because in contrary to Napoli, Real Madrid has better assets when it comes to going forward. The progression of the ball of someone like Eden Hazard's quality is simply superb, and then combining that with Benzema, like I've been mentioning, with his generation of play and his incredible kind of creative almost assists can make it so it will be a deadly threat. And on top of that, they have a bigger break since the last time that they played, so I don't know guys, I really do not know, and here I need your opinion guys, because I'm actually gonna give each team a 50% chance of going through. Even though Manchester City are on top, I think Real Madrid have improved a lot, and as much as it pains me to see, especially in a team without Cristiano Ronaldo and everything, because as I am a Barcelona fan, you want not necessarily Real Madrid to do extremely well in the UCL, right, because they already got enough of those. I have to give them credit where it's due, and they have a good solid team. They got a good manager with the right amount of players, hitting the right amount of form, so it's going to be very difficult for Manchester City to succeed. You're going to have Pep Guardiola is going to have one of those games where everything goes right, and you have Kevin De Bruyne playing to his best of his abilities, the same with Sterling, the same with Gabriel Jesus, with Rudi, and with the defense especially being very tight. So it's going to be very interesting to see this game. It's probably the one I'm watching out for the most. I think it's the tightest one as well. So, yep, probably a very good surprise is going to be coming out of this one. And well then, in my opinion, I'm actually going to give it as a 2-1 win for Real Madrid, which actually takes this to penalties. So, yeah, that's going to be my prediction for Manchester City versus Real Madrid. Overall, guys, it's going to be everything for today. Of course, it's going to be a crazy run of games. Crazy days. I'm going to be posting videos of every single game after we watch it. It's going to be kind of preview, then games. Preview, then games. Like that all the way to the final. So hopefully you're prepared for all of those. And of course, may the best club win. You know what? Because at the end of the day, I just want, in my case, Barcelona to have, of course, a good Champions League. But most importantly, this is going to be a very unique show, a very unique event, a very unique month. Because we've never seen anything like this before. So I'm just excited, to be honest. As a football fan, above all, I'm just really raring to go and watch every single game that the UCL have to offer. Hopefully, you're feeling the very same way. See you guys next time, of course, then, in the game between Manchester City and Real Madrid. We're going to be reviewing it right here on the channel. That's going to be it for right now. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.